Hello, guys. Hey, it's Elle from Couple Money, and I'm excited about this workshop, How to Save for Your Kids' College Fund. So, we're about to get started. I just had a technical difficulty. I was hoping to use my desktop, so I'm using my laptop here in the basement studio to do the broadcast, and I'm just going to get everything set up for a minute. But as you come in, if you have any questions, just a heads up, please put them in the chat. I'll be keeping an eye on it. There is a slight delay. And then afterwards, if there's something you've thought of that we didn't cover, maybe go ahead and email me, l@couplemoney.com. I want to make sure that this is a helpful and useful workshop. I'm excited about our partner, College Backer, and I'm going to go ahead and get Abby on the chat. So just give me a moment. Get to see behind the scenes stuff, getting everything ready. There we go. Okay, I should have, let's see. So just to give you guys a heads up on how this is going to work, I do have some topics, some questions that I got from you, some feedback that I'm going to start off with, which is saving for college, exactly why a 529 can be a great opportunity for you. And then also we're getting into maybe some advantages, what to look for. We're going to see, is there a way for you to cut on expenses so you can have some money to sock away? Is there ways that you can save some extra money? And then did you know that there's tools like College Backer that makes it easy to raise money for your kids' college fund? It takes a village to raise a kid. So let me go ahead and make sure Abby should be here in just a moment. But just to kind of give you guys the context why I'm excited, well, a lot excited, is we have two little girls. If you follow the site or listen to the podcast, we have on the younger side, we have a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old. So college technically is further away, but we know that time is an asset if you want to start investing sooner, even if it's a small amount, can have some great consequences. So compound interest is your friend. It's also your enemy when it's credit card debt. So just give us a moment. You got to love technology. Thought that was sent and set, but okay. And I'm going to wait for Abby to join in. She's really knowledgeable, but I want to give you a little bit of background about how I met Abby and why I invited her, and we chatted and discussed having a workshop together. I met her in Dallas for FinCon, and immediately I was just on board with her mission, making college affordable. Yes, looking for scholarships is smart. Saving up for college, even if it's a small portion ahead of time, can offset that, because college debt is a huge problem right now for a lot of millennials. They have a ton of debt for various reasons. And so even if you don't fully fund your kids' college, and for us, we have a certain amount that we're going to give. If they want to go private, that's up to them or whatever. It's better to give something than nothing in terms of if you decide that this is for you. So, great. We have Abby on.
Hey there. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're perfect.
Okay. I was just telling them, Abby, we had met in Dallas, and I fell in love with the mission of College Backer, helping families make saving for college a lot easier. So do you mind kind of introducing, how did you come up with that idea?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me to come on today. Definitely excited to be part of my first live video for College Backer. So this should be a lot of fun. So yeah, as far as how did we come to the idea, it really was born out of my co-founder and I realizing that we essentially wanted to help our friends start saving for college. So particularly, my brilliant co-founder, Jordan, was looking around and realized that, a lot of our friends are getting to the age where they're starting to have children, starting to raise families, and a lot of them were really stressed out about the idea of how to pay for college. The cost of college is set to double again in the next 10 years. But at the same time, we know that a college education is so valuable and important because the data shows that college graduates will earn about $1 million more in their lifetime than non-graduates. And of course, there's lots of intangible benefits of going to college too, of just growing up and learning how to think and learning how to, do a lot of, learning how to learn and do a lot of other things on your own. But so we had these friends who were stressed about the idea of paying for college, and wanted to find the right solutions. Some of the savvier ones even knew about the best way to save for college, a 529 college savings plan, which hopefully we'll spend a good chunk of time talking about today. But even those savvy, sophisticated ones, oftentimes when we would talk to them and say, oh, well, how much are you actually saving for college? They would say, well, I'll get to it. I haven't had the time to sit down and figure it out. It's kind of complicated. I need to do a lot of research. And for whatever reason, I'll just do it later. And, these are folks who just had a new member of the family. So it's very understandable that they're busy. And so we just wanted to be able to help them and be able to point them in the right direction. But the problem was that there wasn't really a good way to do that. So we wanted to be able to send a gift, kickstart somebody else's fund, and just kind of set them on their way, help them set up a recurring monthly contribution or whatever. And, we live in a time when we have an app for everything and everything's super easy. It's very simple to buy stuff on Amazon or do anything from your phone or computer. We even have cool financial products online now, like Digit or Acorns, but there wasn't really a good way to make it easy to save. So we decided to build it.
Well, that's fantastic. And I'm glad you mentioned this because I was, doing some research for the workshop, which is, so study with Fidelity, and they had asked parents, do you want to help out with college? And I think it was around 70% said they wanted to. That was the goal. But when it comes to saving, they only had, or they would have less than 30% of their goal saved. So anything that can make it easier. I think a lot of parents have great intentions, but life happens. So if you can make it simpler, that's fantastic. So kind of on that theme of simpler, I think one hurdle that I've heard with many couples is there are so many options. There's this information overwhelm, what kind of accounts are out there to save for college. I know some people had mentioned, what was it? The educational savings account, ESAs, and then also, 529s. But I like the 529, and I was checking out my friend Matt from Mom and Dad Money, and he appreciates it too because there's some advantages that a 529 has that the other accounts don't have. And this is probably going to be something you're a little more knowledgeable about. So I'd like to kind of, if you could give a really quick background about 529s and why parents should consider that as an option.
Yeah, happy to. And it's absolutely true that there are a ton of different options out there when it comes to how to save for college. And as a result, around 70% of the dollars that are saved for college are actually just sitting in checking and savings accounts because there are way too many options, and parents look at this wide set of options. You've mentioned a couple of them, the Cover Dollar ESA, we have 529 college savings plan. Sometimes there are, other tools like trusts that folks might use. So there are a lot of different options out there. And as a result, oftentimes people just kind of say, oh my God, this is too much. I'll just put it in a checking or savings account. And then of course they lose out on the opportunity to have the amazing growth that you really need in order to keep up with the cost of college. But just to give a quick overview of what a 529 is and why it is such a great tool and why it is superior to some of these other things that you mentioned. First of all, a 529, you can think of it as like a Roth IRA, but for college. So it's an investment account with tax advantages. You put money into the account, it's post-tax money, and then the growth is entirely tax-free and the withdrawals are tax-free as long as you use them for higher education. It does need to be for higher education, but the categories are pretty expansive. So in terms of what kind of institution, it's anything that qualifies for federal financial student aid. So that's in-state, out-of-state. Of course, it's undergraduate, but it's also graduate. It's also community college. It also includes some trade schools. It also even includes some schools internationally, public and private, of course, as well. So there are a lot of different options when you choose a 529, and it's also much more than tuition. So you can also use that money for room and board. You can also use it for books and supplies, even a computer. So even if your student, gets a full ride scholarship and tuition is totally covered, there are a lot of these other costs of college that you can still use a 529 for. And then specifically, comparing a 529 to some of these other ways to save for college. Compared to a checking or savings account, of course, there's the growth potential. So a typical checking or savings account, you might be earning, 1% every year if you're lucky. Meanwhile, the cost of college is generally rising at around 6%. So you really want to make sure that you are investing your college savings so that you can try to keep up with that rising cost of college. And, a 529 is a great way to do that with these tax benefits as well. And then thinking about a Coverdell or an educational savings account or ESA, the main advantage there is that 529s have much higher limits for contributions. So with an ESA, you can only put in about $2,000 a year, and there are income limitations as well. So if you're a high income earner, you're not going to be able to fund that Coverdell very aggressively. And if you think about, the projected cost of college, depending on how old your child is, it may be, depending on what your goal is as well. But if you're trying to save up to, $100,000 or something like that in your child's college fund, it's going to be challenging to do that with, a $2,000 a year contribution limit. The advantage of Coverdells is that it is available for K-12 education. So if you want to use that money for, private elementary school or middle school or high school, that's, a great reason to use a Coverdell. But in general, for most families, if you know that you're saving for higher education, go for the 529. Even if you're not sure if it's going to be a traditional, 4-year university, that money can be used for trade school. That money can be used for community college. So it's a great tax incentive, from the government, tax benefit that we all should be taking advantage of.
Yeah. I mean, definitely, if you can have an assistant with those accounts to take care of college, I mean, even if you offset part of it, I think a lot of parents fear like, well, I'm never going to, save for everything because college, I mean, the costs keep growing.
Yes.
And I think it was saying like tuition and fees, the last thing I checked was for last year, just for 1 year, you're talking about $33,000 at private colleges, about $10,000 for state residents for in-state, and then almost $25,000 if you're out of state. And that's with like public universities. So, I mean, that is a huge amount. But even if you chip away, that's a great opportunity you can give your kids to graduate with less debt. Goal might be no debt, but starting sooner rather than later. And I'm going to just plug you because I like this with College Backer. Saving early, even if it's a small amount, makes a huge difference. Again, we're talking about the cost of college. So I went on your site, Abby, and I love you have that tool. How much can you save?
Yes.
And I went and just, I decided I'll just put my 2-year-old in here. And if we cut out just bare minimum expenses and we only put $100 a month, by the time we save for college, it looks like it's $36,000. That is fantastic. That is something that can help your child offset it. Maybe they don't have to work. I remember I went to college. I had to work a considerable amount of hours and go to school full time, and it was a lot. Um, so if you can find a way to manage your budget, that is, it does pay off. And before we kind of move into like how you can save
Yeah.
in your budget, I kind of wanted to talk to you because some parents are new to how 529s work. As you mentioned, like savings account, you're not really getting any return on that. I mean, the interest rate is abysmal. When they invest, they open up the 529. What can they invest in to get higher returns?
Yeah, so this is a big piece of what we do at College
Mhm.
Backer. So, as I may have mentioned before, we are an SEC registered investment advisor. So, part of our job is that we do some of that more complex decision making around where exactly your money is going to go. So, we're trying to give you, the parent, a super simple experience, and then in the background, we kind of do all of the analysis for you. But just to briefly go
Mhm.
into what that
Yeah.
analysis is, first of all, we go and help you find the right 529 plan. So there are a lot of different 529 plans out there. Pretty much every state offers one, and then financial advisors also can offer one directly. And so that means that, again, you have about 100 different options of which 529 plan you should choose. We basically take a little bit of your information and then help you determine which 529 is best for you, and then help you enroll in that 529. And we're looking for things like low fees, stable management, like good reputation, and so on. And then specifically within that, of course, you have an investment portfolio. So there are
Yes.
specific investments that your dollars are actually going into. This is another place where we essentially help you out a little bit. And we will generally recommend a passively invested age adjusting
Mhm.
fund or a target date fund. And so the way that that works is, behind the scenes, we're investing your money in some combination of equities, so stocks
Mhm.
in the public markets, bonds, and in some cases, cash as well. So if we take an example of, say, we're talking about your 2-year-old here, you have a 16-year time horizon to
Mhm.
invest your money. So you are really looking for growth. It's okay if your money fluctuates a little bit. You really want to make sure that your investments is growing as much as reasonable in that period of time. So we're going to put you in a portfolio that is more heavily weighted towards the higher growth investments like stocks. And then over time, we're going to moderate the risk, and the risk is going to come down so that when your kid is 16, 17, 18, a lot more of that money is going to be in bonds, and then, as I mentioned, cash. So we'll actually put your money into the FDIC insured savings account, essentially, in order to make sure that when the bill comes for tuition, you have the dollars in the account to just take out.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that sounds fantastic. So thank you for explaining that, because I know some of my listeners and readers, they've attended college, but maybe they're the first generation that's saving for their kids. And so this is
Absolutely.
a all new ball game.
And this is a
Um,
new phenomenon,
yeah.
10,
Mhm.
20, 30 years ago, you wouldn't have to think about, the plan for the cost of college 20 years in advance. But today, because the cost of college is so much greater than, perhaps what, many parents experienced when they were in college as well, sometimes that if, for slightly older parents, or if you are a millennial parent, you're saying, oh my God, well, I already lived the pain. I'm still paying off my student loans. I'm trying to plan a little bit better
Mhm.
than my mom and dad did. Like, this is a totally new phenomenon that we, as a generation, have to be able to deal with in order to help our children be able to afford college a little better than we did.
Definitely. So I kind of want to get into this because I got feedback was, okay, I'm ready to save. I want to get started, but I don't see where it could be in the budget. So um, I guess this is more mine, but please jump in with ideas and suggestions. But for us, you probably don't know, Abby, like we paid off over $30,000 of debt,
Yeah.
and we had like two decisions to make. We wanted definitely to get the debt away, and at the same time, we didn't want to live like paupers during that course. So that's a skill set that does translate when you're trying to save for your kids, because you do want to enjoy the journey as well. But now we live in the age of subscriptions. like everything that we have. There's an app, there's a subscription, there's like all this. And the first, like the low hanging fruit is look for the subscriptions and don't cut all of them out. I mean, I enjoy Birchbox, have Netflix, but then ask yourself as you go through this, just sit down for an evening. Are we still enjoying this? Do we still find this adds like a really good convenience factor, not just a slight convenience factor? Are we happy with it? Because one study said that's $1,200 a year you could save by cutting unnecessary subscriptions. Another opportunity I've seen personally, like I've slashed my cell phone bill in half because I stopped going with the big carriers. There's so many opportunities now. There's a lot of startups. One of my favorites is Republic Wireless, but there's Ting. You can even use Google Fi. There's just so many ways you can cut expenses on that. And for me, I have 2 lines and I pay about $40 a month. So before, I'm embarrassed to say it was like over $100, $60 saved. That can go into your kid's college account. And then also negotiating, mastering, talking to your credit cards. If you have credit cards, seeing if you can get a better rate on them, get that down and pay off your credit cards, of course. But then also talking to your cable company, also talking to insurance. That was another thing where we saved. You might be surprised that memberships, like where you work, if you're a professional member, Costco, believe it or not, you can save a ton of money with car insurance. Sorry, they beat out Geico for me. But it's that, again, looking at your expenses little by little, and you might go, okay, well, that's 50 here, that's 100 there. But you add it all up. I've seen couples save 500 or more a month that they could use for goals, which includes saving for college, your kids. If you feel like this is a priority for you, and those who signed up for this, that sounds like it is, then do yourself a favor, cut out all the unnecessary expenses, and then you can do automatic contributions. That is key. I don't know if you do this, Abby, but with my finances, I find that automating it is not only like a stress reliever and a time saver, but it keeps me on my goals.
I'm absolutely 100% on the automation boat. So I totally love that. And I love all of the ideas that you mentioned of ways to just like reduce the monthly expenses a little bit so that you can have a little bit more to divert towards, college savings or whatever your financial goal is. And, this is something at College Backer that we hear all the time too. Like I said earlier, a lot of the parents that we work with, they are still paying down their own student loans, or they still have their own goals that financially that they're saving for, whether it's an emergency fund or retirement or any number of potential goals that you might have. And so I think that this is one place in which College Backer can really shine, especially since we're coming up on the holiday season now. So Christmas is just around the corner, and there was a study also by Fidelity actually that said the average American child will receive over $600 worth of gifts during the holiday season. And that's a lot of plastic potentially. So if all of that $600 is in toys or clothes that ultimately are going to be, outgrown or forgotten or whatever, then maybe there's an opportunity there, to say, hey, some gifts are great. The kids love opening presents. That's really fun on Christmas morning. But maybe a little bit of that could be contributions to the college fund. And oftentimes, especially for, family members that might not live in the same city, College Backer makes it really easy for folks to give gifts directly into that college fund. And so you don't have to, awkwardly ask people about account numbers or like, you don't even need to ask, like, have you set up a 529 and have that awkward conversation with College Backer? You can just send the gift. As it's like sending an Amazon gift card, essentially, that is going to go into that child's college fund. And then as a parent, that's an opportunity to save where you don't actually need to put any of your own dollars in yet, right? So at that Christmas part or at Christmas or at that birthday party, that's another opportunity to save that isn't going to impact your own personal budget too much.
Yeah, and I think you bring out a good point. There's a lot of family, friends, relatives that you may see occasionally. They would love to give a gift that matters, that could be a huge help. No one wants to give the gift that gets thrown away or forgotten or not appreciated. And it's not like the kids don't appreciate it, but I think we live in a culture of a lot of consumerism. And I think many millennials, many parents now would love to move away from that. And so this would be a practical gift, but this would also be a very helpful gift that the kids may not appreciate quite yet now, but when they graduate with no debt or a lot less debt, that really is a huge burden off their shoulders. And I know a lot of grandparents would love to contribute, especially not just with holidays, maybe report cards, kind of making it a challenge with kids. We raise money for charity by saying, hey, if I do this, will you support me here? But having your kids say, hey, if I get straight A's this quarter, or if I get honor roll or whatever, would you, support X per whatever grade? That's motivating. Yeah. And then also kind of empowers the kid.
It can be $10 for an A or whatever it might be. And
yeah.
A small little gift that, as we were saying earlier, over time is really going to start adding up.
Yeah. And it's also empowering the kids to take leadership in their own education, pushing themselves. So that kind of leads us, hopefully, you have this kid that is doing great and, they're talented academically, creatively, whatever. Why not take advantage of that by looking at scholarships? And yes, there are the big sites. You have, is it Faster Web? I know I'm flipping between my notes because I had to do this on my laptop. But I know I use like fastweb.com. They now have Zinch, Zinch. That is basically like Google for scholarships. And again, starting young, not all of these scholarships are just juniors and seniors in high school. You can look at smaller scholarships. Something I found very helpful is where you work at. Ask your company, depending on the size, do they have a scholarship program for employees' kids? If your kids are part of any clubs or organizations, see if the national level has something that's available for them. And then, of course, you have your guidance counselors at the school. And if your kids are a little shy, sit down with them, make the appointment, and see where you can, again, find money for college that could offset having debt. Because I feel like I keep seeing so many people in so much debt for their education that, this is a situation where a little goes a long way, and you can definitely help out.
And I want to address one other potential concern too that we hear a lot at College Backer around scholarships is people wonder, oh, well, if I save in a 529, what if I get a scholarship, or is this going to ruin my chances at scholarship? So I just want to touch on that really quickly, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
So as far as if your child, does earn some great scholarships, first of all, that's amazing, and we love that. And for the most part, most of the time, these scholarships won't necessarily cover all of the costs of college, right? So we talked about it's going to be tuition, but there's also room and board, there's also books, there's also a computer, all these other things. And you can still use your college savings for those things. But if by chance your student happens to earn so much in scholarships that everything is in fact covered, or you don't need the full amount that you had saved before, a 529 does have a rule where you can withdraw the amount of the scholarship without any penalties whatsoever.
Oh,
so
okay.
If you are saving in a 529, and just saving very aggressively, which is great, and then you discover that, oh, actually my child got a full ride to this amazing university, you can take that money out without any penalties. So it's not like that money is locked up and, gone forever.
Oh, that's good to know. And also another question, a situation, say your kid is a superstar and like has gotten everything taken care of, or there's money left over in the account after they finish college. Can you transfer the 529? How does that work?
Yes. So the other thing that you can do is you can transfer it to another member of the family. So for example, if it's the first child and you have a second child who's expecting to go to college, or even if you want to go back to graduate school or something like that, you can always transfer the money to another beneficiary within the family and then, continue to take advantage of the growth on the account and everything like that.
No, so really, there's a lot of advantages, and I like that. You can use it yourself for later.
Yeah, never stop learning, right?
Yes, that is so true. Well, Abby, I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule. I love what you guys are doing. And you have a very interesting business model. Again, like you don't just say you're trying to make college a lot easier to save for, a lot more affordable, but even how you guys price it. Do you mind kind of, this is unique. Do you mind kind of going over that, how families can do this?
I would love to. So as you mentioned, Elle, we really built College Backer to help every family save for college. And we really mean that and we believe that. So, right now, a lot of times this great financial advice only really reaches wealthier families that might have a financial advisor or something like that. But we believe that every single family in America should have the best financial tools and have the best opportunities that they can. And so for that reason, we've designed a pricing model where you, the parent, can choose how much you pay, anything from $0 to $10 a month. And you can change that at any time. So the point here is that if you don't feel like you're in a position where you can pay on a monthly subscription basis and you really are watching the budget very closely, that's okay. We still want to help you save. Come in, check out College Backer, start with $0 a month, it's fine. And then over time, if you appreciate our service, if you think that we're doing something that's good and useful and you're starting to see some returns on the account, we're making it easier for people to send you the gift of college, then of course we would love to have you support our business and help us be able to continue doing what we do and share this with other families. And then the same thing goes when somebody's sending a gift to you. We want to make sure that 100% of that gift is going directly to the child who that gift is intended for. And then the gifter can also say, hey, I support College Backer's mission. I think College Backer is doing something that's really cool. So I'll go ahead and add a couple extra dollars to support the business.
That's awesome. So I'm definitely, if you're listening, watching this, I want you to check out College Backer. I think they have a great, I want to call it like service app, just like solution. It's solution. So if you want to save for college, you guys decided you want to do that. You have someone on your side with College Backer. So they can find you at collegebacker.com. Is there anything else they should know about, Abby? If they want to ask you any questions or anything else?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, we're really excited to be here as a part of Couple Money. So just to give you that little extra push, if you're kind of on the fence about, I'm not sure if I'm ready to start saving for college based on where I am, or I'm not sure if I feel comfortable asking friends and family to give into my account, we really would love to have you come and check us out. So if you come to collegebacker.com/couplemoney and sign up at that link, we'll go ahead and match the first $25 into your account. So go to collegebacker.com /couple money. If you set up an account and put your own $25 in, College Backer will be the first members of your quote unquote College Backer team and put in 25. If it's not your 25 and instead grandma and grandpa put in $25, then that would be the $25 that we match. So it's just the first 25. We really just want to make it really easy for you to get started saving for college. Starting early really matters, and share this with your friends and family. And if you have any questions about College Backer, please don't hesitate to reach out. Support at collegebacker.com will come directly to me, and I'm happy to help with any of your additional questions about 529s or saving for college or anything like that.
Well, thank you so much, Abby. This is great. Okay, guys, it's free money. It's kind of like the 401k. I tell you, invest because at least you get that free money. So no excuse. And then you're seeing your friends. A lot of you are seeing your relatives, your friends, your family. Why not mention College Backer? Hey, we open up an account instead of getting, the usual. Why don't you contribute to this? This would be fantastic. This would be a huge help. So, Abby, I hope you have a wonderful evening. And guys, if you have any questions, please ask Abby, or you can email me at elle@couplemoney.com. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elle.